Hey, what's up, guys? Today we have what is probably the most important game of the season. We're playing against Vaiala Tongan. They are in second place. They're 8 points behind us, and we only have 5 games left to play. They do have a game in hand over us. In other words, if we win this one, we basically have the league sewn up, and so we're going to do the best that we can. We're putting the best possible team we have out there. I know you guys have talked with me before about how these two have played fairly poorly together when paired together here in the back, which is why you have the dotted line. And they may have the dotted line, might not play so well together, but both of them are excellent in playing defense, and they've actually done quite well together when paired together. I'm not sure where the game is on about, so whatever. Sometimes you got to ignore the things that the game's telling you because sometimes it's not true. Of course, just watch what will happen today. Now that I've talked about it, maybe we won't have so much success. You can see that they have 2 strikers up front, which is what I kind of plan on doing once we have a few more quality players up there to play up front. We'll see what happens. We have a couple of games here, a couple of days here to go before we have to worry about all of that. What we have to do here first is try our hardest to win this league. If we can win the league, then we're going to be in pretty good shape. And so let's see what happens here. And it's going to take us a second here to start. We are in red and white again, as we always are. Home or away, we have the same uniform, play on the same pitch, so it doesn't matter either way. Palipua passes forward to Maele, and it looks like it's going to Milani, but doesn't quite get there to him. And it's back with Palipua again, and that's going to be the end of that highlight. And here is Milani now with the corner, and he steps back and fires and launches that forward for Fetuau, who scores, and that's the second goal of the season. And so it's 1-0 for PanSa East FC here. We're not even 2 minutes into the match, and wasn't much of a corner as far as I'm concerned, but he won the header, beat 2 different guys, and got that over into the back corner, and that makes it 1-0 for us. So we'll take that. We'll take that all day long. Thank you very much. And that is a very, very positive beginning here to this match. Let's see if we can hold on for a little bit longer. This is the one team I think that really has a chance of beating us and coming back in this type of situation is Palipua with that save back, and they're able to get ahead onto it, but Atu ends up making the save and grabbing a hold of it, and he's going to bump this one forward. Of course, once again, he knocks it straight at one of their players, so we have a problem with that. Teoni passes forward for Maele, who is onside, but can't quite direct that one goalwards. And I tell you, every time he gets the ball in that kind of situation, I kind of hold my breath a little bit because you never know what's going to happen. And that looked pretty close. Latu with it now lumps this one forward again for Maele. Can't quite win that header as with Lonkilde over to Loke. Loke lumps this again for Maele, and he explodes on that one and knocks that over everybody's head. So Maele continues to have the struggles he had in the last match where he's getting in good positions and he's just exploding too much on these balls. He's feeling, I think, a lot of pressure. And, I mean, he has the sort of aggression that we want to see. He's just not able to direct that one towards the goal. If he's able to get that one down a little bit more control, then he's got another goal. Latu throws into Afa. Afa finds Teoni. Teoni with it. Back to Vaiali, who you could argue was fouled. I think he probably just fell down. And let's see what happens here. This is passed backwards, and we are just not able to get back onto this one. And they have it in a good position. They get a shot on goal right from point-blank range, but fortunately for us, the shot goes wide. This was a little bit of a defensive sort of struggle for us here. That cross was deflected, which is good, and they got a little bit too anxious there with that shot. Had a pretty bad angle on it again, and so some of the mistakes we've been making are also mistakes that they're making. And so we'll see what we can do here, see if we can get this ball back and get something interesting to happen here. And it's knocked back forward up towards midfield. Whenever that happens, our center backs are tall enough to just get it, and then Maele with the ball again in a good position, but he has it stripped from him from behind, and so it ends up with them for another attempted counter attack. And fortunately for us, Palipua is able to get to that one. This is the reason why I told you I start him all the time, because he's really good. Doesn't matter if he gets along with the guy next to him or not. Both of them are really, really good. They've accounted for our 1 goal so far in this match. And there was another point-blank range shot that we, fortunately, this time it looks like we knocked that one out for a corner. Fairly large crowd here today for this league, about 500 people here, which is unusual. We usually don't have crowds that big, but then again, most people, I think, are not used to us playing this well. So this is fairly exciting, and we've been able to keep a clean sheet so far in this match. Let's see if we can keep this up. And that was a pretty good deflection by whichever defender that was. And so we will go ahead and continue. About half an hour into this match, this with Loke over to Maele. Maele up to Teoni, down to Loke. He finds Milani. Here we go. And he's got Maele. Does he see him? No, he doesn't even look. Instead, he passes it backwards for Vaiala, who then crosses over to Maele, whose header is a little bit too high. And that goes out for another goal kick. Milani then wins this midfield over to Lankilde, back to Latu. Latu with it, passes it laterally up to Palepua, slows it down a little bit, passes up to Maele, and then it's over with Teoni, and Loke has fallen down, completely injured, and it looks like a calf strain. He just sort of fell down. I don't think anybody even touched him. And we'll take a look back there. Yeah, nobody even touched him. He just fell down on his own accord, and there might be some poor training, I suppose. I don't know exactly what's going on. He wasn't part of that attacking movement, so we can't really blame our failure to score on him at all. And we don't really have a midfielder on the bench, and so we're going to put just sort of a random person back there and kind of hope for the best. This is one of the problems that we've been having so far, and it's not really caused by poor bench management as much as it's caused by the fact that we just don't have anybody. Fetua over to Lankilde, back to Maele, and then our new friend decides to take a wild shot from far away, not knowing how to play in the position. And it's a little bit of a struggle here for us. Teoni knocks this one up, and that ends up going over onto the very top of the goal, over everybody's head. I guess that one could have gone in. That would have been pretty wild if it did. And it's Fetuao here with the corner. Steps back and runs forward and fires it. And unfortunately for us, that ends up with nobody. And the keeper has it, and it's out for a throw for us again. And it's Vaiali over to let's see here. Vaiali again over to Famuana, then back to Palepua. There we go. Over to Maele, to Milani. Milani up to Afa. Afa with it knocks it forward to Milani, who earlier this season was scoring that like it was nobody's business, and I'm not sure why he's not quite able to score this now. He may be a little bit tired, maybe a little bit of that sort of overuse of players. And the funny thing is that we have, I think, a week off after this match, so if we can just get through this one without too many more injuries, I think we'll be fine. It's been a little bit tiring here for these guys, playing with a somewhat limited squad and 2 matches per week. Atu ends up grabbing onto this one, but don't worry, we have reinforcements coming. And it's a lump forward to Maele, who lumps it forward to absolutely nobody. We've seen that happen before. That's definitely an amateur league type move. Fortunately for us, they do the same thing, and it's back to Maele, back to Milani now, over to Teoni. Teoni decides to take a shot, and it, again, wasn't much of a shot, more of a pass than a shot. Atu with us now, and I'm not quite sure what they did. I guess it wasn't worth watching. To Latu, Lankilde over to Afa. Afa finds Maele. He's got another man, too, if he needs him, and instead he takes it himself, and ends up being a bunch of... ends up being a bunch of nothing, and then my dog is eating a lollipop that fell to the floor. So, all nothing but excitement here. Fetuao knocks this one back forward to Vaiala, and it goes over to Afa, to Fetuao again, over to Lankilde, and he beats his man, is fouled, and it ends up being a shot from the middle of nowhere by Afa, and that sort of ends that one. So, there you have it. That was a little bit ugly on our part. I think that there was some call for a foul here, and it wasn't here. It was on the sequence afterwards. Again, kind of some questions about why Football Manager is showing us the highlights that it's showing us, but so it is. We're doing okay. We are doing well with getting shots, which is good. We need to make a substitution here. Latu has been having an absolutely horrible, miserable game. We'll put Walter Osama on for him because he's a good player. The other one who's not playing well here is Ken Teoni, and I put him on purposely just to sort of see what happens. We'll put the other Milani on for him and see what we can do from there. So far, we've actually been playing fairly well. It could be better, of course. We could score more than just one goal, but they have a good team. So Palepua ends up heading this one, and unfortunately, it goes to them in midfield. Afa's called for the foul. And that was pretty blatant there by Afa, who I think was a little bit frustrated that he was beaten on that. He's the sort of player who you get this feeling that he thinks that he's, the superstar, and when it doesn't happen, then he'll get really upset. Famuana tries to knock that one forward and ends up just hitting a defender. Palepua with it over to Lankilde, passes it forward, finds Maele behind the defense, and forces a really good save by the keeper. And then fortunately for us, their defender has no idea who's around him, and so he just knocks that back for a corner. We'll take that any day of the week. Afa here will take this corner, and he knocks it forward, and it ends up being headed back as far as Malani. Malani over to Walter Assam. Walter Assam takes it, knocks it one forward to Afa, who is onside. I guess he is onside. 2 attempts at a cross. Neither one of them can get across anywhere, unfortunately, and that's going to be sort of the end of that. But it was a good idea, and this was this excellent pass to Maele that we saw before, and he forces those really good saves from those keepers, and as long as we keep getting him the ball in that position, we're going to see good things happen eventually. And I was about to say there's the equalizer, not quite, and instead Famoana wins the ball back and looks to lump it forward to Maele. You can tell they've got 2 guys around Maele at all possible times, which is part of the reason why he's in a little scoring drought. Atu stands in the right place this time and has apparently learned how to catch the ball, which is a good sign for us. The more he learns how to use his hands and how to actually stop the ball, the better off we are. I still maintain that a lot of our defensive problems have been due to the goaltender and not to anything else. One of the Malanis goes back and grabs this one, flicks it forward rather to Maele and can't quite find him, and they end up winning the ball in midfield. It was a good attempt. I worry a little bit that we may be trying to score a little bit too quickly. Lonkilde over to Famoana, and he's looking to lump that forward to Maele, and it ends up with their defense. Maele doesn't quite know where the ball is, still having some problems trying to anticipate. Not too much of a criticism, though, for me, because he still is only 15 years old. Famoana now down to one of the 2 Malanis, the new one, who just came on, and his cross was pitiful, and so he goes back, gets it again, then wins a penalty. So how about that? Looking at the match momentum, we're just barely eking it out, but that is definitely a penalty, and this penalty will be taken here by Afa, and he scores it, of course. You know he's not going to miss that. Not going to miss that for anything in the world. 8th goal of the season, 2-0 now for PanSa East FC, and I think that this basically should clinch us the league unless there's some sort of dramatic comeback. He has their keeper flying the other way. I'm not quite sure what that was, sort of a Superman-type dive. And so we'll take that any day, and there's a corner here for them. Knock this one forward, and Fetoua was able to get a head onto that and knock it back. It's back to the corner taker, but he's apparently not offside. That's one of those plays the football manager loves to run against the human manager. Man, that was a shot on goal that hit the top bar and went just over, and that was a little bit scary. And I'm not quite sure what our defenders were trying to do with that one, but whatever they were trying to do, it didn't work. There's Atu again knocking the ball straight back to the other team. I think I said last game that I was going to get him to stop doing that, and then I didn't do anything. Famoana lumps this one forward looking for Maele, who he finds. It was actually Malani he was looking for, and the Maele score is probably the best goal that he scored all season. That's a shot from, like I said, down below, about 30 yards out. I mean, you talk about a three-pointer, man. You know, this shot is from way out. Look at how far out that shot is from. He has no business taking it. He knocks that past everybody, and it's 3-0 now, PanSa East FC. And Maele is showing that he's easily the best player in the league and probably belongs in a league at a higher level. I mean, if he can score like that, it's just absolutely incredible. Fetoua over to Lonkilde, over to Walter Assam to Afa. Afa takes a shot and almost gets his second goal. That was very, very close and a very good idea. And so now it is them here with a free kick, and we're just not quite able to clear it. Oh, and Atu's able to go back and grab that, but there's an offside that was called right before that happened. And this was another one of those sort of defensive failures on our part, and it's right around here where we get a little bit concerned. I mean, because you got a guy who's wide open, and it's Petupoli who's going to come to our club, as you recall, as soon as the season is done. I don't know what kind of free kick that was. That looked like it was us conceding the ball. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're trying to do there, and then they just conceded straight back. So if we were going to watch all 90 minutes, it would probably be about 45 minutes of just that. Maele with his attempt at a second goal, and that forces another great save by their keeper. I tell you, Maele, the thing about this kid is that he makes the other team's goalkeeper look good. Either he does that or he scores 3 or 4 goals a game, right? I mean, he's forcing all of these incredibly great saves out of these goalkeepers to try to prevent him from scoring. Pretty impressive. Again, 15 years old. There's that pass forward, finding Maele, and he passes over to Malani. Malani will just take that shot. Should have passed it one more time because he had a guy running over the right over the center who I think was Afa. Passed that one more time, and we've got the entire defense beat. And it's all right. We're up 3-0. I'm not going to complain too much about this, but I might complain if Petupoli scores here, and he does. 3-1 now, PanSa East FC. Petu Poli is trying to remind me that he's coming. 20 goals for him so far this season. This is where I've been talking about how this game is too easy in amateur mode because we have convinced this guy to come to us next season. And if we were playing for money, that probably wouldn't happen, right? But because these guys are all available on free transfers, we can just go over to the top scorers and say, hey, come play for us. Right, we'll offer you nothing, but they're offering you nothing too. So the only difference is that we have more points and we're winning more often. So I mean, I don't know, man. Whatever. Maele ends up not really running all the way out to get to this one. He looks tired. Famoana passes this down to Malani. Malani lumps it forward, looking for off. I can't quite find him, and this is back for a goal kick from them. 4 minutes of extra time to play. That's still enough time for them to come back if they really want to, but if they're just going to lump it forward like this, it's not going to do much of anything. This is lumped forward again, and Maele just can't quite get over to it, but it's over to one of the Milanis, passes it to his partner in name, and there is the red card we were looking for, and here it is. That was kind of weak for a second yellow card, I would say, but we haven't seen everything that's been happening in the match so far, so they do get their red card. We've got a couple seconds left here in this match. As soon as we have this throw in, maybe 1 or 2 kicks, we will be done with this, and it will be all over by the shouting, and there it is. And once we walk off with this victory, we are in pole position here, and we have won. We have beaten our arch rivals here at home, and this is a pretty impressive performance from us. 3.12 XG, 3 goals, 3-1 the victory. We were not dominating in possession, but we had definitely more shots than they did, and that's the end of this one. I will see you tomorrow. I'll talk to you then. Bye.